They release that memory, and that goes, these wires go up to the top of the brain. And they actually show them.
Welcome to the Brain Lady Podcast with your host, Karen D. Wood, the resident brainiac. Get ready for a mind-expanding journey as we unravel the mysteries of the brain from Notes from the Couch. Join us as we delve into the complexities and wonders of this enigmatic supercomputer. Fasten your mental seatbelts and prepare to have your synapses fired up. Welcome to the captivating world of the Brain Lady Podcast.
Welcome back to the Brain Lady Podcast. We're recording today in the podcast layer. My name is Karen D. Wood. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with my co-host, Jackson.
Wood is in the building. I am super excited to be back for another recording with you. Today's going to be a good one. Wood, let me know what we got on the couch today.
So what we do every week is we talk about something somebody said in a session. And this time the session wasn't on the couch.
Okay.
This time the session was by the creek in the back of my house.
Which is very nice, by the way.
And we should get a picture of the creek.
We should. Karen got a creek that runs in her backyard. Her backyard is nice.
And our neighborhood is basically a loop.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we go walking, we can run into people. And sometimes I can tell when somebody's distressed, and I kind of engage it. And this time it was apparent.
That's what you do.
And I got him after a little bit for his parental attitude. Mm-hmm. And that means I'm seeing his kid now, right? Great kid. He's 17. He's in that hard spot. Very, very brilliant. Actor, stage.
Nice.
But you got to live in a family, a huge family. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to do what's being asked of you because you want to get out in the world. I mean, it's a pretty common 17-year-old thing. Yep. So I met with him once. So we got to know some things like we talked about in the last few podcasts, that frontal lobe.
Yeah.
How do we access that frontal lobe so we can do our best executive thinking, view the future. So he really got that. And now we're in our second session. And he said his parents were even noticing that he was stopping to blink when he got upset. And they were like, why are you blinking? But he realized because he goes from really, really hot to really, really cold. He does the whole, he shuts down real fast and then flares real fast.
Okay.
And so he was learning to just stop and blink. So it's part of that parasympathetic system we've been talking about using your body to get into your best state of mind. So he said a great thing that I thought would make a good podcast. So here we are. Next day.
Here we are.
I need to blink to the box.
Blink to the box.
I need to blink to the box. I like the great phrase, blink to the box. And so what we're after is, what we're trying to do in this podcast is do neurological theory, psychological theory, and yet how do we get really, really practical? So today, we're going to try to get more into the practical of how do we access that frontal lobe.
Nice.
So how do we blink to the box?
Blink to the box.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so we're just trying to remind ourselves that when we get in a state of tension, remember our scale 0 to 10?
0 to 10, right.
When we get into a state of tension, we start losing our access to the frontal lobe. Mm-hmm. And so how do we get that back? So what's the time recently when you had trouble figuring out what was the topic? And you had trouble figuring out how to put it into a box. I'm holding my hand like a box. Can you think of a time recently when you had trouble?
Yes. So we're in Fresno, and we're in the summer, and it is hot. It has been so hot here in town, and we just finished a big event that we do for the community. It's called Reading Extravaganza.
How big is that?
It's a big one. Thousands of people come out, and the whole idea is through one of the nonprofits we work with is we give out books. So we give books to the community. We've collected over 1 million books over the last, I would say, 8 years, and probably given out over 700,000 of those books. So we were preparing for this big event. We partner with the school district, and the school donates books to us. So the schools all around Fresno donated these books. Some schools donated, little boxes. Some schools called us to bring really big bins, and they filled these bins up. So we had this huge bin that this school had overloaded. And in my mind, when I got them, I'm thinking, man, this has way too many books in it. It's going to be extremely difficult to move. But mind you, it was like 105 degrees outside.
It was at least 105 that day.
I just wanted to
and
get.
And you had been working for days in that heat, collecting books.
Yeah. I was going around to all the different schools
for days.
And this was honestly one of the last pickups. It was like maybe the last of 3. So we're almost done. So at this point, I just want to get the project finished.
And it's late in the afternoon.
I get there. I get the hand truck. We get the boxes. We're wheeling it over to the trailer. I go to push it up on the trailer. The front of the hand truck catches the trailer. In the force of me pushing, catching the lip, all of the books, the box just split open. Thousands of books
literally
are on the hot asphalt, hot concrete. I have my 9-year-old son with me, and he just looks at me.
You have that picture for us?
He looks at me, and he says, "Dad, why'd you do that?" Girl, I was ready.
So he's the one helping you.
Yeah, he's helping me.
The family. We got Noah, and now we got the picture of the exploding book.
But he acts like I did it on... I was ready to snatch his face. Like, he act like I did it on purpose. Like, why would I do it? So now we have books all over the concrete. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out what is the best solution. Leave it. Can't do that.
Can't do that.
Maybe leave it and come back. Like, let the sun go down. Maybe come back because it was thousands of books. And in that moment, I was so angry and so upset and so hot and so exhausted. I had to pause and I had to breathe because in the moment, I knew what needed to be done. They needed to get picked up, but I couldn't figure out the best solution. I was just frustrated.
So you text me in this picture of your very, very sweaty self saying, hey, what's going on?
It was just crazy. And now my son... he's 9. I tell him, start throwing the books into the trailer. Because at this point, the box was broke. We didn't have another box. So we're just throwing books into the trailer. And I can tell he's starting to get frustrated and hot because my son's spoiled. He's not out there in the streets like that. He's not out there. So he was getting hot, frustrated, and tired. I'm hot, frustrated, and tired. And we just had to keep working. Have you ever been in a situation where you just have to go?
But you took the break in the car first and figured out what the plan was.
Yes. When we went to the truck, we turned on the AC, we drank some water, we took a moment. I had to really...
Wait, was that the day your AC broke? Did you have AC that day?
No, this time we were in a different truck.
Okay.
My AC in my truck...
Okay, 'cause I remember the next few days we were doing that without the AC.
AC is broken, So
you took the break.
Yep.
And so the kid in session at the creek was realizing if he would stop and just blink and look up a little bit, it's inviting the oxygen to our frontal lobe.
Right.
And then you can break down what all the boxes are about.
Nice.
So we'll show you the picture when we can find it. But so let's put up the boxes. If you can find that picture, Phil, that would be great. Because what we're trying to do is say, so up on the screen, for those of you audio, we've got a worksheet we use a lot. We can have literally boxes on the top and our 4 outcome-based thinking steps on the left. So that's what we're going to talk about. The blinking helps you access the ability to break it down. And we can hear for your very good story. You've got the heat.
Yep.
You've got an upset son. You've got the timeline of how am I going to get this done. You've got the rest of the day. You're at a delivery.
So a lot.
We would have a lot more boxes on there if we could, right? And so then you figured out, okay, not much we can do about the heat. Let's try to cool down the AC. So there was your acceptance on that.
Right.
Look at yourself and the outcome of the picture with acceptance. Let's cool off a bit.
Yeah.
And then the books. What do I do with these books? You were able...
There was nowhere to put them. But in the trailer, just scattered everywhere.
You got the solution. Just get him in there and let's get off this pavement.
And make sure it was hot.
And then you focused later on your boy and you went and got him ice cream.
Yeah.
Is that it?
He worked hard.
He worked hard. You need to cool him off.
Yeah.
And then you got to the rest of the deliveries. I mean, if we have a lot more boxes, right? But you were able to focus on the box at a time and get the job done.
Yeah.
Even though you will remember that day for
So what does what's happening in our brain? Like he stops to blink. What does that do? Is it just it allows your brain to process it? Why the
it stops and says to that middle brain, so there's that amygdala ready to snatch his face.
Hey, I was ready to snatch that boy's face.
Right. So it's on alert. It's doing fight. And then there's fright and all kinds of other F's in there, but we want to talk about all of them. And so it allows just the moment to say, hey, limbic system inside, I'm listening to you. I am hot. This is too much. I have been at this for days. I don't know how I'm going to finish this. But then that amygdala doesn't have to keep pumping those fright chemicals in there. Because now I'm accessing my frontal lobe to say, hey, amygdala. So on the screen, we've got a nice brain from the side. So in that middle brain, there's that amygdala right in the center of the brain. It's pumping down to the brain stem. Keep the guy frustrated because he's in danger. And with the blinking, you're using the top cortical part of your brain. So I'm pointing to the whole top of my brain to say, hey, Ox2, I'd like you to come up to that frontal lobe. So then I can view this whole situation. So one of the things we talk about in clear thinking is getting to the objective view where I can see the whole, it's like I'm looking from a balcony.
Right. You can see the whole thing.
So you've got to look at the whole parking lot and see, hey, this is the problem we've got to solve. And you figured out the whole thing.
Yeah.
So let's go over this again. On the screen are our specific 4 steps.
Right.
So why don't you walk us through those?
Step 1, right, notice. Being able to just notice the tension. Our bodies are always going to give us that warning sign. It can be a stomach ache. It could be sweaty palms. It could just be your shoulders kind of getting tense. But just being self-aware to be able to notice that tension and then be able to ask yourself, look at the outcome of this picture without acceptance. What does it look like if I stay in this much tension for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes for some of us? What is it?
And that was part of your problem. You could see the picture. If I put all these books, thousands of books in the back of the trailer, and then I take it to the warehouse, you saw the picture of the hot, sweaty guy in front of the warehouse. What do you do with 4,000 books in the back of a trailer? So you saw that picture.
All of it.
But then you kept going, and what did you land on?
Next thing was, what does it look like? What is the outcome of this picture with acceptance? If I can just accept the fact that the books are on the pavement. I can't get angry enough to put them back in the body feeling, right? I have to accept the fact that this is happening right now.
Nothing kind, lovely, or true.
None of it.
But it's happening.
And I just say to myself, let's just get it done. Because the more we sit here upset and angry and pouting and wishing it never happened, the fact is, it happened. The fact is, the books are on the pavement. And the fact is, I have to get them up because they can't stay here. So once I did that, I took a couple deep breaths, drank some water, get the swallower going. Then I was able to then notice the frustration kind of come down. Me just being upset with me kind of come down.
Right.
And then we're able to get it done. And then at that point, it turned into more of a motivation and more of a competing with my son, how many books we can throw in.
Nice. You joined jazz with him.
Motivating him and encouraging him and high-fiving him. And we got it done together. And it was a great...
And that's a good example of that step number 4, where the amygdala literally changes the chemical output in your brain.
Absolutely.
So here's that amygdala, another good drawing. That no longer has to send the fight chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it can switch right next door. We'll do a podcast on this someday, to the reward chemicals. They're right next door. They send messages to the frontal lobe that say, hey, let's get this done. And it decreases the danger. Because one of the problems you were running into is on the screen as a PTSD chart. Sometimes these things run into other things that have been problems, other car problems, or other days things went wrong, or other fears. And we have to acknowledge in the brain that the frontal cortex goes offline with PTSD. So you can see this really good drawing with an X. Because when I have a PTSD reaction, I had one at the creek when the key was there. because we've had a lot of fires in our area lately. 1,000 lightning strikes in our hills with that big storm we had the other day, Monday. Mm-hmm. My son, Squirrel, my son lives up in the mountains, and he knew it was bad because he could actually see lightning starting fire. And he got right behind a fire truck. Wow. Thank you, cute squirrel. He got right behind a fire truck and got up to his neighborhood because he knew the road was going to be closed right behind him, and it did. Wow. His girlfriend had to drive a whole other route to get up there because... Wow. But I'm sitting with this kid, the kid who said this quote, I need to give the blink to the box, and here comes a boom, 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 boom. Here comes a big fire retardant helicopter. And I go back to the PTSD of my son, 2005, arrest, year in juvenile hall. Mm-hmm. There was a day when they came and looked for him up and down our neighborhood when he was on the run. So I hear that, and I felt my frontal lobe go offline. Wow. And I told the kid what was happening because I was looking a little ish. I was having trouble talking. I lost my train of thought. So when we get in these situations where the blinking helps suspend the boxes, sometimes that's actually a problem because it's going to set off. Here on the screen, we have left, right parts of the brain, and now we know they're really all working at the same time. Yeah. But I lost my ability to join my brain. So then I showed him how I used my blinking. I said, watch this. And I looked up and I did my blinking. Got my exhale going. Yeah. I had to use my frontal lobe. Now it's bass backward, as Russell's grandmother would say. Oklahoma. I had to use my frontal lobe, that thinking thing, to tell my inner reactive emotional brain, I'm okay right now.
Wow. I think what's so crazy is that happens to people all the time. They lose their train of thought. They all the stuff, but most people don't know like what is happening with their brain. And I think that's what's so unique about this podcast is you're able to learn about what is going on. What is my amygdala and my frontal lobe and all these different things.
What is he doing?
What are they doing? Yes, I lost my train of thought, but I didn't realize that I was triggered. I didn't realize that I was hijacked. I didn't realize I had a PTSD response based on something I seen or I smelled or I heard.
Right.
And that was simply a helicopter flying over.
A sound
that triggered all of these things in your brain that took you to this PTSD response. But because you know about the brain, you know what was going on in your brain. I think for me, that's what has allowed me to just be better and those moments and better in those situations because I recognize that, oh, this is what's happening with my frontal lobe. This is what's happening with my amygdala. This is what's happening with my prefrontal cortex. And I think honestly, I feel like it's given me power.
It has.
Right, to overcome some of these different moments and situations.
And the really delightful thing about that, you actually healing brain tissue. Right? Mm-hmm. And so we don't talk about this much, but we've got this access path from the middle of our brain to the top of our brain. Mm-hmm. And in trauma, that is blocked. And it can take a long time for that to open up again so that we can access that thought.
Yeah.
Really great scene in the new movie, Here's a Squirrel, Inside Out 2. Before we get to Inside Out 2, here's a really great drawing of the brain. These are the layers of our brain that we sometimes don't talk about. We've got that cortex, which is the top. Mm-hmm. And then we've got that limbic system that we talk about, that amygdala reactivity. But then we got this whole cerebellum at the bottom of our brain. There's the two bumpies at the bottom of your brain. We used to think they were just for balance, but now we know they're for a lot of thinking things. And then we get our brain stem, where we have these trauma core symptoms of our body going, and it's learning to recognize that. But that's a journey because that brain path might be blocked. So in the brilliant movie, Brainstem, that's the next movie, Inside Out 2. Now remember, I saw Inside Out, the first one, 7 times in the movie theater. So I may be slightly upset. You saw 2 already too? Yeah. The brilliant part of Inside Out 1 was the memories that come out on the back of her brain. And the point of that movie, there was 2 of them, One is that we can change what our memories tell us. Remember at the end of the movie, she changed her little angry memory to be a really joyful memory because she, in the replaying of it wrong, she didn't see the end of the movie because she had this childhood trauma where she moved on the screen, right? And then she had this anatomical change. In the one, you can see you go inside her brain where all those memories are, right? Anatomical changes. Yeah, I'd love to watch it. And then if that doesn't get fixed, and that's really the point of 2, when anxiety takes over, then we can be in big trouble and get into some of our post-traumatic stress, borderline personality, the psychosis, and if we don't get a hold of it, right?
So she was able to take that angry memory and change the way she viewed it.
Yes.
Hey, count it all joy.
Count it all joy.
And
speaking of joy, the other point of that movie was joy and sadness had to learn how to get along.
Wow.
They had to get along. So another thing on the screen, the impact of trauma, here's that part I was talking about where it's a block and that amygdala has its reactions and doesn't allow the access to the frontal brain. And so in Inside Out 2, the brilliant brain part of this movie is, I'm going to do some posts on it, is they take the memory and they get on an elevator and they go down into the limbic system and they release that memory and these wires go up to the top of the brain and they actually show them. They actually show the mylar sheath being wrapped around that neuron.
Okay.
It's a picture of the neurons that form in the brain.
Wow.
They call it creating her personality. So when Joy is running the control board, she brings out these memories and they make these strong neural connections. I am strong. I can do this. All these good. Well, then anxiety takes over the control board. And anxiety kicks Joy out of the frontal lobe. That's the brilliance of that movie.
Right.
Where the control board is her frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe, yeah, absolutely.
And all these emotions are working on that control board. Well, then anxiety takes over. She kicks Joy, the troop, out. And then anxiety takes those anxious memories. Here they are.
There they are.
So what happens is anxiety on the screen, crazy girl with some crazy red hair. When she takes over, she brings that memory down, puts it in the lake, which is a beautiful picture of all the fluids we have in our brain.
Yep.
That should be another talk. And all of a sudden, these new neurons form, but they are not in good shape. They're a different color. And when she touches them, they say, I can't do this. I'm never going to succeed. I'm going to fail. So that's the brain brilliant. I went with my brother and great nephew. And my brother said it was so fun to be in that movie theater with me because he kept hearing me laugh and clap at the brain things. And when I saw the next brain things, right?
Right.
So I hear, good picture, feel it.
Is it still in theater?
Yes, it'll be there a while because it's selling like blockbuster.
Well, you should take me.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Take me, just saying.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's take Noah and go.
I just need it.
Noah.
We always got to take Noah. Noah gets everything.
So back to the screen.
Yes.
So here's that picture. So she's come down the elevator.
Okay.
Look at Joy and Sadness are together in a happy state.
Happy state.
And here's all the good neurons. Here's another good memory coming. And those are all the good neurons, which form her personality. And it's just so brilliant how they did that. Here's the one thing wrong with the movie. I need to write him. I should have written him after the first one. I did.
Should have.
I'll write him after this one. The main character, Riley, has a panic attack in a hockey ring. She gets set out to the sidelines. It has a panic.
Right.
And they don't show her how to breathe through the panic attack. They have a really good point where she puts her hand on the bench and you see her starting to center herself.
But not the breathing.
Not the breathing.
That's so important.
That's what the blinking is about. They could have showed her just looking up and taking some good blinks. And then, now there's a beautiful scene in the end where Joy, there's all the babies. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And now we're in the middle of the brain. See all these wonderful folds on the screen with all the memories in them. They're now deep in the hippocampus of all her memories.
Right. Wow.
Okay, another sport. You got me talking about the minute. This Joy is not perfect angel in this movie. She does a great job. She did a great job in the first one, trying to get rid of sadness. Joy in this movie gets really sarcastic. And, I have a little trouble with the sarcasm in my soul. Sarcasm. Every time she gets sarcastic, this little gap she has to get over, it crumbles, and it gets bigger and bigger. The more sarcastic it is, the more this chasm. And now she can't get past it because her sarcasm ruined it, which is really helping me.
Wow.
So, brilliant movie. We'll be hearing a lot more about it. Let it go. And we should get some people from the office together and go. Oh, sorry. This has got to be a Jermaine thing.
Everybody.
Hey, Jermaine and I are going to go see this movie. I'm going to see it 7 times. So I'll go see it with other people another time.
Yes.
But do go see it. And the point is, these characters are what run Riley's brain. And that's why it was so precious to sit there with my great nephew who's been through great trauma. And now he's going into high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'll stop talking about the movie because I was about to stop. I'll stop it.
Stop. Where are we at?
Oh, we need to get a stop sign for me on this. Stop talking about that. So where we're at is now we're going to be saying, what are the solutions? Okay, another squirrel.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why you put that on the screen. But did you know? So he put a man running on a round treadmill on the screen. Mm-hmm. Now you got to put that back. Can you find it again?
Like a rat.
Spinning
your wheels.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how far a gerbil runs at night? We are way off topic right now. A gerbil runs 7 to 9 miles a night.
Stop it.
So it's just a great picture when we get off topic. One of the things we can do to get off that gerbil wheel is get the blinking going. Because it says, hey, frontal lobe. The other thing it does is for those of us of faith, it calls us back to Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from?
Yep.
My help comes from the Lord maker of heaven and earth.
Yep.
David was being chased for his life, and he was looking up to those hills.
Yeah.
Now, someday I'm going to write a book on the Bible and the brain.
Yes.
And that page, what that did to him looking up.
Yes.
It got it blinky.
That's so good.
And so when we feel like we're on a gerbil wheel and it won't stop, or we feel like there's too many boxes and we can't break the boxes down, think of this kid by the creek, blink to the box, and figure out boxes on the screen. In which box am I on now? You did a really good job in your story of saying how many boxes there were and how you took them one at a time.
One at a time. There it is.
There it is. There's the found the picture. Thank you, Phil.
I'm sweating just looking at that picture.
So we got a picture on the screen from our audio friends that shows the precious trailer and the huge box.
Yeah.
And all the boxes.
It was just a mess.
And Noah walking back to say to his daddy, how come you did that?
Yeah. How come you did that?
I just love that line.
Oh, I was going to snatch that boy's face.
So I love this because the box is broken.
Broke.
And that's what we feel sometimes when we're trying to figure out what the boxes is. It's just too many. They're all crumbling.
Yeah. And I think, too, what's so important, many times boxes in our life like that break. Well, if you look at that box, there's no way to put it back together.
There is no way to put that box back together.
But what we can do is build a new box with new memories. But at that point, that box is gone.
And our next podcast is going to be a continuation of this frontal lobe one on how to get back to the facts of the situation. Right. And that's how you would rebuild the box, right? Because if you stood there and thought, I got to get duct tape and get this back together, because men do duct tape. That's not good.
Nope.
But if I can feel that my limbic system is feeling fractured and jittery and I'm unsettled, to just look up and blink. And the other things we talked about for your parasympathetic system. Because then we got another great drawing of the brain here. We can't access the full frontal lobe, but we can say to that limbic system, I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
So what we do in therapy a lot is say, hey, amygdala, I hear you. Mm-hmm. Even if I haven't figured it out yet. Hey, amygdala, I hear you. You're sending all these messages.
Yeah.
And the point this kid got, which was great, was which is the one box I can land on. Mm. And you did it. You went to the car. You got a drink.
Yeah.
You figured out, what could I do? You came up with your plan, executed it, shifted to good times with your boy.
Yeah.
So he will have that memory added, right? We can make the inside out. And the memories you're making in his little brain, right? You change the color of that memory. So The other thing we can do is realize that scale of 0 to 10 we talk about.
Yeah.
And that's when we use pointing at that frontal lobe. We can talk back to that amygdala, that whole limbic system, and say, blinking, breathing, taking my swallow. I would like to be a 4 right now. And sometimes we talk about what would a 4 look like in your situation. I'm going to be hot and sweaty, and we're going to get this done.
We'll get it done.
And then, so here's joy. Here's one of the beautiful new characters. I just love him. So I'm pointing to embarrassment on the screen.
That's embarrassing.
He's a big Oompa Loompa. And when he gets embarrassed, he pulls the string on his hoodie, and then his red nose still shows. And he ends up having a really important, they're about to fist bump each other because they end up working together.
We got to go see this.
So when we left the movie theater, and I said to my great nephew, who's been through so much, so what'd you get out of that movie? Is I'm going into high school, and I have to learn how to get along with all those emotions.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I'm hoping I can spend more time with him this summer to say, one of the ways you do that is work with your body, right? So good. The Kid at the Creek, second session.
Oh, I really will talk about
that was the topic of this podcast, yes. The Kid at the Creek, another braid on the screen, really got it that he has a lot of control. More than he thinks he does in kind of a complicated family situation. I was raised in a big family. That gets really complicated.
Yeah.
Because the deal is in the summer, if you sit down, your parents think you are game to get something done.
Hey.
So he gets all his work done. Mom sees him not doing anything, puts him to work. Then dad comes home, and so he takes a break up. Then dad comes home, sees, and puts. So his amygdala wants to protect him by cranking up. But he learned that taking the blink and getting the breathing going got that frontal lobe access to, hey, I need to tell you how my day's been.
Right.
This is what I've done. I'll be back on the to-do list in an hour. Good breathing. So he learned how to blink to the box. He's got a lot of boxes. Mom chores, dad chores, siblings, wanting to go out with friends. He's got a lot of boxes. So, good. Blink to the box. That's what I've been talking about.
This has been another great episode here on the Brain Lady podcast. I want to thank everybody just for tuning in and for listening. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. All the favorite platforms that you love to be on. Come join us. Thank you so much. Wood.
Don't forget the book.
Don't forget the book. Hey, we got a book. we got a book. Listen, guys, you can find this book on Amazon. Go to Amazon. Check out this book. It is amazing. Written by our one and only Karen D. Wood. So again, thank you guys for joining us. Look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Wood, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to sit up, breathe, take your exhale. Keep watching the podcast. We'll see you in the next one.